All right. Hey, everybody. Mitch Ribak here. Today we are going to talk lead conversion. Now, I'm going to talk specifically internet lead conversion, but the reality is all of these work fine with every type of lead. I mean, we ran all of our leads from open houses through this process. Everything we did went through the same process. I will check my chat once in a while, so if you want to have a question, let me know. I can't see if you raise your hand in here the way this is set up, but we're going to get right into it. And so basically what's going to happen today, I'm going to talk about lead conversion, then I'm going to bring in my friend Brian from Home Gain, BuyerLink, and BuyerLink is where I bought all my traffic, and have you talk a little bit about him talk a little bit about that, and we'll talk about why I used BuyerLink all these years for driving trackers versus doing my own pay-per-click. So I always ask everybody, what business are we in? That's my first thing that I always ask people, because everybody picks the wrong thing. Actually, I gotta close my door. Hold on one second. Every time I ask people what business are in, and they're always telling me we're in the real estate business, we're in the people business, we're in the service business. But the reality is we are in the lead generation business. So if you're not generating leads, then I don't care how you generate them. You can generate them through open houses, you can generate them through referrals, you can generate them through Facebook, through pay-per-click on Google and Yahoo, millions of ways to generate leads. But if you're not generating leads every single day, you're not running a business. And the whole goal of being in real estate is to sell houses, right? Shake your heads. Yeah. So you have to generate leads. And I don't care. There's a million ways to do that. If you go on my YouTube channel, which is just my name, Mitch Ribak, and subscribe, I've got lead generation ideas in there. I think I do 34 ways to generate leads. There's a million ways to generate leads. But for this, we're going to talk about internet leads. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the hierarchy of internet leads. And this is really interesting because I see a lot of people pushing a lot of stuff. And by the way, these are averages. They're not, there's people that are outliers on all these that kill it with Facebook or pay-per-click or realtor.com. But generally, this is the typical hierarchy. So Facebook leads, worst leads you can buy, great for building your database. If that's what your goal is, they're really cheap, $1 or $2 a lead. But the conversion rates nationally are 1 out of 300 leads. That's a lot of work to convert a lead, right? The next is pay-per-click, so Google AdWords or Yahoo. I don't know what they call theirs, it's not AdWords, but it used to be Overture. That's 1 out of 100 leads. The actual number is 0.75% out of 100 leads. So basically 1 deal out of 100 leads. Average, cost per click, not cost per click, but cost per lead runs around $12 to $15, depending on your marketplace, right? Realtor.com and Zillow convert at about 3 out of 100, right? That's your typical out of Realtor.com. And just so you know, I never did Facebook leads. These are the national averages I read. We were pay-per-click. We did a little over 6% conversion on pay-per-click leads. In Realtor and Zillow.com leads, we would get between 10 and 15% conversion rates out there. But typical conversion is 3%. Open houses, unfortunately, there's no national stats. I can tell you for every 8 people that came into an open house with me, we generally got 2 sales. But I don't have that recorded, so I can't give you that as a real number. And then finally, personal referrals are the best thing you can ever do. Everybody wants personal referrals, right? And that's a whole other class I teach called How to Make $100,000 a Year Working 4 hours a day, which again you can find on my YouTube channel. And I'll probably do another live one of those pretty soon because it's pretty easy. This is not a difficult business, but this is the hierarchy of leads. So you've got to determine how much money do you want to spend on generating leads, and how much time do you want to do chasing leads. And I'll give you an example. So why are Facebook leads the worst? Facebook leads are the worst because everybody is scrolling. They're not looking for you. They happen to be scrolling and they found this pretty house. Go, oh, let's look at this house or whatever it is that you're selling. And they click on it. Now it does capture a lead. You can do retargeting and all that stuff, but they weren't looking for a house. Pay-per-click leads, on the other hand, people are searching for you. So I live in Merritt Island, Florida. So people search Merritt Island, Florida real estate, right? So that's a better lead, better quality lead. By the way, on the pay-per-click leads, we did a study a couple of years ago that, and these are the real numbers. We contacted, is myself and another friend of mine in another company in Atlanta. We contacted 1,000 leads that were, I want to say this, I can't remember if it was 1 year or 2 years or older. I think it was 2 years old, but don't quote me on that. It might have been one. But we contacted, not called, we contacted 1,000 leads. Out of that, 380 had bought a house, 38%, and 200 more were still looking for a house. So 58% of those 1,000 leads were buying houses. Think about that. We did 6% as a brokerage, and we thought we were hot crap for that. Right? We thought we were the best. We were the best. I haven't found anybody better yet on pay-per-click conversion rates, and we were only doing 6%, but really 58%, and that's all a matter of follow-up, which we'll talk about shortly. So these are the numbers, and these are one more thing on the hierarchy. Your Realtor.com and your Zillow reason why they do a better job than pay-per-click and Facebook is because they're property inquiry leads, and that means someone's actually inquiring about specific properties. So anyway, here's some real numbers. These are numbers of a couple of years ago for me. We generate 8,633 leads that year, 25 agents on my lead system, 329 sales. It was 3.8% that year. When we do a cumulative number, it's that year plus leads that closed in that year from other years. So these are leads that we got that year that closed that year. $66 million in volume, 1.8 million in revenue. And we netted, after we paid the agent and we paid for all the costs, we netted $607,500. That was a typical year for us. We always charged between 8,000 and 10,000 leads. We always converted around 3 to 4% of the leads of that year, and then another 2% of leads that were from other years. So these are numbers. These are real numbers, and that's how it works. So why are your numbers different? Why are most people at a 1% conversion rate or less? Generally, it's because your agents won't make phone calls. And if they don't make phone calls, they don't do them consistently. And we know, by the way, I skip around. There's going to be stuff in here. My ADD brain goes different places. But we know that if you make one call, the first call, you're going to get a hold of 21%, right? If you call within 5 minutes, you'll get a hold of 21%. If you call within 24 hours, you get a hold of 20%. Not a huge difference there. But agents don't make phone calls. One of the reasons we'll talk about ISAs later is because agents don't make phone calls. And if you're not going to be making phone calls, you need to hire someone to make phone calls, or don't waste your money. Your team leader or yourself are not keeping yourself accountable. Nobody's making up the follow-up calls. No system in place, right? And that's why we built all these things. That's why we built all these systems in place to have a consistent flow of leads and a consistent flow of sales coming in, which we were able to do every year. And this is really important to understand. So the average time frame of an internet lead is 233 days, 9 months. That's the average time frame. Now, people will buy in a week or two. People will buy in 2 or 3 or 5 years. But on this, this is just from 2019 leads that I had handy to share with you. So 2019 leads, 54% of our sales from leads came from 2019 leads. 24% came from 2018 leads. 11% came from 2017 leads, and then 11% came from 2016 or earlier leads. I remember one year, I want to say it was 2016 or 15, we had a dozen sales from 2008 leads, 7, 8 years later. So, a lot of people give up on their leads. The key is to have proper systems in place to keep on top of these leads. What we find mainly is a mindset issue with a lot of this. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. When we train our agents on lead conversion, is we teach them that it's all about creating a relationship. So your typical agent is going to say, well, hey, it's great talking to you today. I'll set you up so you're getting listing updates. And then if you see anything you like, let me know. And then they never call them again because they're not buying for 6 months. They completely forget about them. We teach our agents it's about creating that relationship over the 6 months, because if you're calling them based on that time frames, which we'll get into a little bit later, you're building a great relationship. So what happens if 6 months from now, or 5.5 months from now, the person who's looking to buy in 6 months today is on another website? They go on there, the realtor calls them and says, when you're looking to buy, well, we're looking to buy now. Are you working with a realtor? Now we've got some guy sending us listings, but we've not met him yet, so we're not working with anybody. We didn't build a relationship. So we were really strong on building those relationships, and we did that with our ISAs, our inside sales agents. So this is how it works. It's not that difficult. Lead comes in. If you're a team, you want to sign it to an agent immediately. There's two schools of thought on that, by the way. Some people like to keep the leads in-house and then assign them as the contacts go. I didn't like that because I really try to get people to build that relationship right away. So when they're setting up listing, getting listing updates and all that stuff, um, they know what's getting on. So we'll get an email out to those customers right away saying, "Hi, my name is Mitch. Thanks for registering our website." And I tell them exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to set you up a saved search. I'll be calling you shortly to discuss it. Blah 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 blah. And that's what we do. We call the person. We try to call immediately within 5 to 10 minutes. But as I said earlier, after calling several 100,000 leads, we've learned that 5 to 10 minutes is really good. So it's great, but it's not the end all if you can't get to it until sometime the next day. We never called more than later than 24 hours, so I don't know what the numbers are after that. It's really important that you set up a saved search on every single lead that you get. I don't care where you get those leads, but people want to look at houses. That's all they want to do. They don't care about anything else. They just want to look at houses. So it's really, really important that you're setting every single lead up on a saved search. Any questions so far? Nope, I like that. Okay. I want to talk about the search of it. Again, you set it up right away. You do not wait till you talk to the person to set up the search. There's a really good chance, 80% chance, you are not going to get a hold of them on the first phone call. But you want them getting listings. So when you do get a hold of them, they know it's you and they're excited to talk to you because you're getting listings. I want you to keep these searches broad. Now, especially in this market with this tight inventory. What do I mean by broad? So say they're looking for a house for $400,000. I'm going to do a search between $300,000 and $500,000. I want to make sure they're getting it. They're getting listings at least 3 times a week. Now, in this market, I don't do listings daily anymore. We do it as ASAP. It depends on what your CRM will let you do or what your MLS will let you do. And then on top of that, we built default searches. And what's the default search? So we use Melbourne, where I am here. So in Melbourne, you can buy a house between 300,000 and 4 million, right? But the average sales are between $400,000 and $600,000. So we're going to do a default search. So if a lead comes in, they didn't do an actual search, they just clicked the button and the lead came in. I'm going to set up a default search for that landing page. All of our landing pages are based on the cities. So Melbourne landing page for $400,000 to $600,000. Now, the worst case scenario is they email you back, say, "Hey, I'm looking for more. I'm looking for this or looking for that." That's the best case, actually. The worst case is they unsubscribe. Right? It's the nature of the beast. But it's really important that it's a broad search because you want there to be at least 20, 25 listings that match what they're doing, what they're looking for. Really important. This is the most important part of the process, by the way, because this is what keeps you in front of them. Why do people use you as a realtor? A lot of people will say they use me because I'm trustworthy. I'm a nice guy. For me, it's because I think I'm funny. I'm not really funny, but I think I'm funny. But the reality is people use you as a realtor because you happen to be in front of them when they're thinking about buying or selling. So if they're not talking to other realtors and they're just getting listings and you do this correctly, you'll be in front of them more than most people will be. However, if there's another realtor that's actually talking to them like you should be and doing the follow-up by phone, you're still going to lose that person to another person. After you contact the person, then you're going to place that lead in the proper grouping, and we're going to go through that in a minute. And then you're going to assign a drip campaign. In our case, we had a drip campaigns assigned to different groups. And then based on the phone call, you're going to adjust the list of properties so they're getting exactly what they want. Again, broad, but getting more what they want. And just set that preference up when you talk to them. Look, I know you're looking for $400,000 house. I'm going to set you up between 300 and 500 because if something comes in at 425, I don't want you to miss that. If something comes in at 375, I don't want you to miss that. We get a question. Okay, so it looks like chat is disabled, which I can't fix that at this point, I don't think. Maybe I can. Let me see. No, I can't. So if you have any questions, just do it in the Q&A section there. Thanks for whoever said that to me. Appreciate that. So if you have any questions, put it in the Q&A box. All right, there we get that. So you adjust the search based on the phone call, sending them a new list of properties. You're always sending them a new list of properties every time you talk to them. It's just more about the contact. And these are the groups that we use, and we use them for specific reasons. So a bad phone number or we have no contact, we just stick it in there. So if it's a bad phone and we never look at it again, it doesn't matter anymore, right? If it's a good phone number, no contact, we put in a good phone number, no contact group, because we're going to continue to call that lead, and we'll go over that shortly on how we do that. If it's a high-end lead that's active, active means either you've talked to them or they're opening up listings you're sending them, or they're logging into the website. You want to put them in that group because there's nothing worse than losing a high-end lead, right? That is the worst thing in the world when you're selling, they're buying $1 million property in an area that the average sale is 375, and then they bought from somebody else because you didn't follow up with them. We also have a low-end lead, which I don't have on here, but all the leads that you don't want to work, that are too low priced or not realistic, like in our area, we'll still have people coming in saying they want a house under $150,000. There are no houses under $150,000, so they're not getting them. Okay, I'm not going to waste my time calling them. Now, the reality is sometimes you can talk to them and turn them around, but that's really not somebody we're going to chase. And again, we will probably still make the first phone call. We're just not going to chase it. Active lead is someone that's not buying anytime soon, but they're actively in your site and you're talking to them. A calendar lead is somebody that gave us a buying time frame. So they're going to buy in August, or they're going to buy in the fall, or they're coming in June 15th, whatever that is. When they're calendared, and we have a list of every month, January through December, we have a list of every month, and we'll put those leads in there. And we know 90 days before that month, we need to be on top of those leads that are in there to make sure we're calling them. Hot lead is a lead buying within 30 days. Really important. Again, don't lose those. And all these groups came because of losing sales. So all these things that you'll see in here are because they lose sales. And that's really the most important aspect of why we have different groups, because we don't want to lose sales because of not being on touch of a lead. The other one is shown property. And I'll tell you a quick story on that. We had at 1.6 thousand leads in our database that our agents had shown property to and never called again. Right? I never checked it because I really never thought it would be an issue, but we had it so people would do it. And I went in there with 6,000 leads. I think it was a little more than 6,000 actually, that they showed property to and never called again. That's just amazing to me. And then finally a closed group. So when you finally close the sale, you put it in there, and we have a 5-year drip campaign that goes out to them every quarter for 5 years to stay in touch with that customer. But this is how we organized our leads. It's really important to keep your leads organized. If they're not organized, then all this just falls apart. Okay. So let's talk about the phone call. First of all, I want to talk to you about, I wish I could get you guys to raise your hands, but have you all registered on a website? I know the answer. So yes, every single person on this call is registered on a website at some point. If you did not want them to call you, did you ever put a good phone number in? Now, every once in a while, I get someone that says yes. I don't understand that, but every once in a while, someone says that. Have you wanted them to call you and put a good phone number in? The answer is yes, right? Of course we have. If you put a good phone number in and they do not call you, what do you think of them? Right? They're the worst company I've ever dealt with. I never do business with that company. Their service is terrible, blah, blah, whatever it is, right? You're going to be very upset and disappointed with their service, right? So my point of this is, if they give you a good phone number, they are expecting you to call. So let's talk about the call. First of all, you have to be in a good mood when you call. If you're not in a good mood, do not make phone calls. There's nothing worse than getting on the phone going, hey, my name is Mitch, and you registered on my website. Right? You gotta, hey, this is Mitch from eXp Realty or wherever you're from, right? We don't leave messages until the 4th attempt. All right. So we call 4 times over 8 days. So we're going to call once on the first day, skip a day, call another time on the 3rd day, and so on, all the way till the 8th day, right? And we found that gave us the best capture rate, best contact rate of around 65%. Now it's funny because in Canada it was about 70% for our Canadian customers we had, but for our US-based customers, and we were calling with our ISA company at one point about 165 brokerages and teams that we were calling for. So anyway, so by the fourth call, you can leave a message, you can text them. I don't care what you do. The other thing that a lot of people have gone to, I call it chicken shit marketing. They've gone to just texting. Texting gets a 35% contact rate. So you're still getting about half the contact rate you would get if you did the phone calls. So we don't do anything until the fourth call. No, we'll leave a message. By the way, messages are 10 seconds. Hey, this is Mitch with eXp Realty. I've been sending you listings, so I want to make sure you get them. Please give me a call back, blah, 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 right? The whole idea of the call is to build rapport. I don't talk that much about real estate. We train our ISAs not to talk that much about real estate. Sure, we get the basics, what they're looking for, but we really want to talk about their lifestyle. So tell me, are you guys an active family? Do you have kids? So schools are important to you. Do your kids play sports? Oh, great. This guy's had a great sport team. Just on and on and on lifestyle and fun and what they like to do. I'm always trying to build rapport. If they are from New England, I'm from Boston. If you can't tell by my voice, I still park my car. I obviously, if they're from Massachusetts, it's an easy bond. If they're from New England, it's an easy bond. If they're from New York, it's an easy bond because I can bash the Yankees and we can have fun with that. So I'm always looking for stuff like that to figure that part out. So one of the questions is, do you text at all? After the fourth call, if I have left a message, I'll start texting. I don't care at that point. At that point, the worst to me, the contact rate after the fourth call is only 6%. So to me, it's really not a big deal at that point. I don't care if I tick them off a little bit. So we'll text them, we'll call them. So yeah, we don't text anytime until after the fourth phone call. Most important part of the phone call is what's their buying time frame and why are they moving? Those two most important things. And because that's going to determine what you do with the lead, right? It's going to go into a hot lead, it's going to go to a calendar lead, is it just an active lead? What type of lead is it? How am I going to move that lead along the path? We don't push financing if they're buying more than 30 days, right? So if they're buying the first 30 days, we're going to talk about financing. If they're buying after that, we're not going to get into a financing question. We may, it just depends on where the call goes and how the relationship goes. But a lot of people are hesitant to talk about financial stuff. One of the questions we have is, do you vary your times calling during the day? That's a great question. Yes, so we will. We don't have a science to it. We know we get a hold of more people between 8 and 9 in the morning and 8 and 10 in the morning and 4 and 6 in the evening. So we generally try to call within those time frames. But we do vary them up a little bit. Sometimes, it depends on the agent in the ISA. Obviously weekends, you're going to get a hold of more people. We had a lot better. We had a great contact rate on weekends. So you should always be trying to. By the way, even when we haven't got a hold of them and they didn't respond to anything, but 65% did. That other 35%, we still try to call through a dialer once a month and check in. It's about a 2 or 3% contact rate on those. It's not a big but if you're using a dialer, it's not a big deal. Then we finally end the call, let them know, great, I'm going to call you back. Now here's on the first call, we are calling back a week later. So Mr. Buyer, I'm going to give you a call back next week. I just want to make sure that the listings I'm sending you work out great and see if you have any questions between them. The reason why we do that, and your market might be different than our market. We're Florida, so people come in, leave, come back. We've had people from the Northeast, especially, and from California, especially, start getting our listings and go, oh my God, I can't believe how low the prices are. Because if you're selling a home in California for $2, $3, $4 million, that $3 million home in California you can buy here for $500,000, $750,000. So it's like a free house. So we find people that say they're not buying for a year, that'll buy it in a week or 2 or 3 or a month. So it's always really important to make that. When I say call back, I'm not saying attempt to call back. I'm saying get a hold of them, right? And that might take several phone calls, might take several texts, but get a hold of them. All right, drip campaigns. I'm not going to talk a lot about drip campaigns. I will in the links. I can't share it on here. I don't have it on PDF. If you want a copy of the drip campaign, send me an email. I'll give you my contact at the end, and I'll send you a copy of my drip campaigns. But they have to have a purpose. We don't use fluff. We don't have gardening tips and household tips and all that stuff. We have stuff that they actually need to know about buying a home. I think it's really, really important. The best one that we do is Hey, Bill, just checking in, making sure you're getting our listing updates. If you have any, if you'd like to see any properties, let me know. I can show any properties in Brevard County, Florida. Really quick. All of our emails, majority of them are 10 seconds. Very concise. If they're going to be longer than 10 seconds, it means 10 seconds to read it, then I am going to do it as a link instead of a full email. If you send me a long email, and I'm an ADD typical buyer person, if you send me a long email, I'm not reading it. I won't read any of it. If you send it to me in block instead of like little short paragraphs, like 2-3 sentence paragraphs, I'm not reading it. And that's most people, by the way. Because the key here, when you set them up with listing updates, like we talked about at the beginning, you don't really have to have a lot of drip campaigns. Now we would assign different drip campaigns that we built out for different groups. So when you ask me for those drip campaigns, and my email, by the way, is mitch@mitchrealty.com. You'll have that. Hey Stan, don't put them in here because I won't see these. Just email it mitch@mitchrealty.com and I will get you your drip campaigns. It's mitch@mitchrealty.com. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. So the magic's the phone calls, right? When I got in this business, I got zero training, which is a blessing to me because the reason why I developed my open house plans that I help people with and my lead conversion stuff and everything I've done, I had to build myself because I didn't have any training. So it's kind of a blessing. But my original broker, my first broker, still a good friend of mine, said, Mitch, the most important part of real estate is follow up, follow up, follow up. It's everything. It is phone calls. I'm going to give you a quick, I have a third book I released a little while back. It's called The Rockstar Sales Guide. And the subtitle is Don't Do Chicken Shit Marketing. The first page says, don't email. Second page says, don't text. Third page says, pick up the effing phone. And it's selling. It's sold. I think I've sold like 10,000 copies. It's $1 on Amazon. I did it as a joke because everybody wanted a new book. And I'd written 2 books before, but I hadn't done that. But it's true. Everybody's afraid of the phone for some reason. Pick up the damn phone. I mean, that's where you make money. The phone will make you money, right? And then we do follow-up schedules based on buying time from. And the line there is if you don't make the calls, someone else is going to make those calls, right? Just reality. So here's our callback schedule. And I'll leave this up here for a minute. When we call after the first call, right, a week later, depending on their buying time frame is when we're going to call again. So if we're buying in a year or more, we're going to call every 2 months. Once they get to 6 months, or if they're buying in 6 months, we're going to call every 6 weeks. When they get to 3 months, or if they're buying in 3 months, we're going to call every 4 weeks and once a month. And if they're buying in a month, we're calling every week or as needed. So it's really important. I mean, there's no reason, if someone's not buying for a year or two, there's no reason to call them every other week, right? You're just wasting your time. So you're just doing it like this, okay? Any questions on that? I'll leave it for another second so you can copy it or take a picture of it. Yeah, but very important that you call back on a specific time frame so you're organized, right? Every CRM out there has a little button that says, your next callback date. All right, so I just want to understand a little bit how the leads work, right? So if you receive 100 leads and you reach 65 of those leads, 30 of those leads will continue to use the site. Now, we stopped calling the people if they stopped registering on the site, only because we had a massive amount of leads. We had at one point, we had like 97,000 leads in our database. It was over 100, I think, actually. One thing we know, if those 30 leads continue to use the site, we know 10 of them are ready to buy a home in 90 days. And that equals 3 to 5 people buy a home from you, right? Out of that 100 leads. So we know that some of those people are going to buy in 90 days, right? And we know some are going to buy later. But we know that out of 100 leads, if you're doing a decent job, 3 to 5 are going to buy a home from you, right? We don't chase the masses. We only chase the gold. So I'm always looking at the higher end leads. You can use the other lower end leads to farm them out to other agents if you want. But we're chasing active leads that are motivated, that are, we know we're buying, right? We're not going to sit there and chase every lead because you'll lose the good ones if you do that. So the question is, do you need a inside sales agent? The answer is always yes, by the way. I have not met an agent yet that has actually called their leads consistently, because when the ones that do, then they get busy and then they're not calling their leads consistently. as your lead flow goes. So say you're getting 30 leads a month. The next month you have 60, the next month you have 90, and it keeps going up. At the end of the year, you got a few hundred leads and you're not organized, you're not calling your leads. So you need someone, whether it's part-time or full-time. Now I do recommend, if you're going to hire an ISA, that you hire someone. There's two ways you can do it. You can hire a virtual assistant, which I did not do. I did that for my ISA company, not by virtual assistants, but non-licensed people for my ISA company. But for my brokerage, when we had the brokerage, we had licensed people calling, because this is how they would call. They call and say, "Hey, this is Mitch. I'm Melissa Goldman's. I'm Melissa Goldman's assistant on the Melissa Goldman real estate team, and I'm building up that agent." Right. So that was really important for us to do that with our ISA. So you do the ISA, it's just a part of your team. And the reason why we like them licensed is two reasons. One, I can pay them in a commission base. I give them cash plus commission, and they can talk real estate. So if you have an ISA that's a virtual assistant, they don't know the market. They're not going to ever know the market. Local one that's that wants to work is great. So if you receive 50 plus leads a month, 30 plus leads a month, you need to do that. If you're not staying in touch with the active leads, listen, real estate's an investment, right? If you're going to be a great realtor, you need to invest in your business. You need to have the mindset that this is a business. So many realtors I know don't look at this as a business. I've never had a business where you don't spend money, invest money to grow your business and be consistent. I never, because of my internet leads, because of open houses, and some of the other stuff that I did, I only had it in I only sold full time from 2001, 2005, and then I opened my brokerage. But during that time period, I sold about 300 homes, and it was, I invested. I built a business, right? I hired assistants. I hired ISA once we get rolling. So these are really important stuff too. If you're not staying in touch with leads, don't spend the money on it if you're not going to. So why? Because they call your leads. They're gonna contact more leads for you. They're gonna sell more deals for you. They're gonna get more information for your leads. They'll change their mindset on leads. Everything becomes better when you have an ISA. It just does. Now, hiring the right ISA is really important. If you have the wrong one, it could kill your business. So it's really important. That's a whole nother class that maybe I'll do soon on hiring an ISA. I actually set up the inside sales department for EXP, and Julie Inman, who's the manager, the ISA manager for EXP, was my ISA manager for 16 years. So we've got a lot of time spent on doing ISAs and how we did that. So that's lead conversion. Now I want to bring on, that's my contact. Use my other email address, mitch@mitchrealty.com. I'm going to get rid of this for a minute. I'm going to bring on Ryan from HomeGain. Ryan is going to talk a little bit about HomeGain with me and how where I bought my traffic. Now I bought my traffic from Brian always. Brian, you'll need to turn your camera on. There you are. And the reason why I bought my traffic from HomeGain, and there's two things you can do, and Brian will talk about this. But the reason why I did is because I didn't have time to do pay-per-click myself, nor did I have any desire to do pay-per-click myself. I did. I was really good at it, actually. But these days, it's so much more complex and difficult. So I've used I started using you guys in 2006, right? Inside the chat is disabled, so I think we have to do that inside of a the chat's disabled, so I think we have to do this somewhere else. Brian, I think I can post it. Tell me if you guys can see this in the chat box. I'm going to post the link, so if you're interested in finding out from HomeGain what's available in your area, Brian will talk about. So Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about Buyer Link and how it works and why people like myself have used you guys for years.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. Just real quick too, I like the fact that you brought up that inside sales agent, and I'm just using this from our perspective. We see really high, results when you dedicate somebody to make contact with these customers, and I'll jump into that here in a few minutes as well. But BuyerLink owns the HomeGain brand. We've been operating it for close to 15 years. So we've been in the real estate space from a digital perspective. really targeting consumers or homeowners that are potential homeowners, people that are looking to buy a home or sell a home. And I think the one thing that kind of just allows us to be effective for our agent partners or real estate agent partners is just the ability to know where within, like, let's say the Google landscape, where the right customers are. There's a lot of different things you can do to target customers off Google. It's doable, but it's not easy. Over the years, it's become more and more complex. So what we try to do is not just target a keyword, but we look at audiences within Google. We look at, keywords and audiences differently in different geographies. And so what we've been able to do, over the years is really understand like what type of consumers coming off of Google or coming off of MSN, even some degree Facebook, are really converting at the highest levels. And then what we do is within the Home Green website is provide a pathway for those prospects to navigate to your own website. And so really it's kind of taking a little bit of a step out of the process where you don't have to worry about, hey, how to manage like a Google campaign, or how do I manage which traffic sources. We're kind of doing a lot of that aggregation of the right type of homeowners or right type of prospects. And then we funnel them into your website where then they can convert and then take, shape in terms of, going through your own marketing funnel.
Sure. We do have a quick question. I'm going to grab them as they come in. So are there any upfront costs with Home Game, or they charge a referral fee once the transaction closes?
Yeah, no, we operate just on a cost per click model. There's no hidden fees or any, sign up fees. It's really just getting on the platform, setting a budget. We make it really simple for you to really just direct traffic right off our platform to your website. In that link, it should give you the ability to jump in there and, just, sign up. We have, a couple specialists that can get back in touch with you, during that sign up process if you're interested, and they can kind of walk you through additional questions and things of that nature. But yeah, it's very simple to get set up on the platform, and we make it very easy for you.
Yeah, and I will tell you, so I did all my own AdWords, and I was really clever, and I did pretty good. And I remember the day, it might have been 2008. I don't remember. The older I get, the less I remember what year was what, right? But whatever the year was, I had a person call me from BuyerLink, and oh, you should use our BuyerLink product, and did the sales pitch. I'm like, no, I'm an expert. I don't need it. Blah blah blah. And then I thought about it. I was like, wait a minute, it's costing me the same amount of money that you're telling me it's going to cost me with you guys. It's what I was spending per click, anyways. So it wasn't anything additional than what I was already spending. And actually it ended up being a little bit cheaper than what I was spending per click. And so I gave a test of a couple of different cities. We ended up buying the entire 22 cities here in the county for years and years and years. And I did a test, and we were like little kids in a candy shop, because instead of getting our 5% capture rate we were getting at the time, we were getting a 15% capture rate. The capture rate was just definitely higher with you guys. So instead of getting 5 or 10 leads a day, we're getting 20, 30 leads, 40 leads a day coming in. And that was blown away. And so I literally, within 2 weeks, I shifted my entire budget, my $10,000 a month budget on pay-per-click over to you guys.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the one benefit too is, a lot of agents that we work with on our platform, they're very specific around zip codes that they operate in, where they want to draw potential buyers or even target sellers. And we give you only traffic in for people that are in those specific zip codes. We kind of qualify that before we move a user from our platform onto your website. And, one of the things that's a challenge out there is that a lot of these different targeting mechanisms, like on Google, they're trying to match up IP addresses, and unless someone's really actually understanding what that zip code is that customer's searching in, you really don't know if that traffic is the right traffic. So we're really taking that step out of the process, and that's probably part of what helped increase your sell-through.
Yeah, and I also think, the leads were a better quality. And I'll tell you the reason why I believe, so correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
is it's a multi-step process for them to be a lead.
Yeah.
Where it's unlike, they go to my website and they sign up, but before they get to my site, there was 2 or 3 clicks before they get to my site to get to BioLink's website. And so if they've gone that far, they're really a little more serious about buying a property, right?
Yeah, that's right. We're asking some of the basic questions. What type of home are you looking for? What kind of home are you selling? We kind of know like how many bedrooms, bathrooms. We obviously know the location. So yeah, so we're taking out a little bit of that filtering that you would have to manage on your own, and then just moving the right type of users, converting to leads, good leads that you can then convert on your end.
Right. And as the market became more and more crowded in the space, because it did become more crowded, the 15% capture rate went down because of more options, of course, out there. And I believe you guys are right around 8 to 10% now for capture rate still.
Yeah, no, we're I mean, I'd say that for the most part, I mean, like we're always analyzing our traffic. We're looking at our performance data, how things are converting. But yeah, I'd say for the most part, we're still penetrating a pretty large chunk of the traffic out there. It's hard to sometimes measure and aggregate, but yeah, like we're, working with some of the top companies in this space. So yeah, so I think, adding this is like an additional option to drive traffic to your site is a pretty good thing to do.
Yeah. Well, if you have no traffic, you have no leads. It's pretty simple. And unfortunately, going out there and doing it yourself. I mean, I was out there not too long ago looking at Google AdWords for a project I'm working on, and it's $3-4 a click. I mean, it's very if you want to actually rank anywhere, right? I mean, their systems are so much different now than they used to be. It's very complex. In fact, I personally won't do my own pay-per-click again because it was, and I'm pretty smart. Well, at least I think so. And I won't do it myself anymore. Does anybody have any questions for Brian? Let me see.
Just one last thing I was going to mention, Mitch, is that a lot of people, there's kind of this myth that, hey, I can just get on Google and pay a fee and get a click. And Google actually uses quite a few variables to even determine if they're going to have you show up, even if you're paying like a high CPC or cost per click, where you're saying, hey, I want to get the click, I want to pay more for it. They're looking at your website. They're looking for people that have gone to your website in the past, if they've bounced off that website or not. So they have a lot of criteria to even determine if they'll move someone off their platform to your site.
Yeah, crazy, right? I did put in, so Doug Haas has been my contact for a billion years. I think he's 300 years old now. So I put that link in there too, if you wanted to schedule a time to pick Doug's brain on the best practices and stuff like that of using BioLink. I highly recommend it. I wouldn't be on here talking with Brian if I didn't believe in it. And I spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars with them. No, actually millions of dollars. It's probably, I think we added it once. It was close to $2 million over the years I was using you guys. It's just a lot of money. But anything else you want to add, Brian, before we let people go back to their life?
No, I mean, I think a lot of the content you shared is right on the mark. I'll tell you that BioLink, Home Gain is just one of our brands. We actually operate in the automotive, people that are looking to buy a car. We also operate in the home services space where people are looking to remodel and do a bunch of projects. And I'll tell you that over and over and over, we see when we deliver clicks or leads to partners, the ones that can respond very quickly, usually within a minute. You let a lead or you let someone come through and they express interest, they give you their contact info. Your goal should be to get a hold of them under a minute and do all the follow-up that Mitch mentioned. Without it, you're really just kind of wasting your time.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks, Brian, for coming on. I appreciate you. So I wanted to share that with everybody. Again, inside of the chat there's links. My email I saw already, several of you guys have emailed me for my drip campaign. It's mitch@mitchrealty.com. Glad to send you the drip campaigns that we built out for years. And I hope you got something out of this. There's not a lot of ways to convert leads. There's the right way and the wrong way. So just do it the right way. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you later. See you, Ryan.